In pretty much all science fiction involving interstellar societies, war and combat play at least some role. Science fiction authors throughout the years have created various types of devices designed for defense or offense, weapons of varying levels of power and degrees of destructive capability. The warriors of the Dune universe have a variety of weapons to choose from simple blades and swords to handguns which can fire laser beams. Frank Herbert did not often describe technology and how it worked in great detail in his Dune saga. The main focus of the saga is centered on the themes and the driving philosophies woven into the narrative. Still, technology, weaponry specifically, has a significant role among the citizens of the Imperium. Throughout the series, various kinds of weapons appear, evolving as humankind evolves. In the book Dune, Paul Atreides is trained with a number of weapons. Bodkins, which were thick and blunt needles used for piercing cloth or leather, Kyndils, double-edged blades similar to the zippos used by the ancient Greeks from which the Atreides are descended, slow pellet stunners, which were projectile weapons that could throw poison darts. Paul was also trained with swords, specifically rapiers, a type of slender, large, and sharply pointed sword designed to be a thrusting weapon. Holtzman technology allowed humans to fold space and communicate across great distances. It enabled shield technology as well. Shield technology rendered most projectile weapons, such as slow pellet stunners and Mauler pistols, obsolete, but such weapons were still used far more often than lasguns. Because of the Imperium's utilization of the Holtzman effect, the way weapons were used in the Dune universe was changed forever. Lasguns were described in Dune as continuous wave laser projectors. The weapons were very powerful, but the use of them was extremely limited due to the Empire's reliance on Holtzman technology. When the beam of a lasgun interacted with a field generator shield produced by the Holtzman effect, subatomic fusion occurred. The results were catastrophic. Because the use of shields was so widespread throughout the Empire, other types of weapons were typically used over lasguns in order to avoid these kinds of nuclear reactions. Before the time of the God Emperor, when the Padishah Emperor still reigned, most soldiers preferred the use of swords and knives in combat. When utilized correctly, such weapons could safely penetrate body shields. Duncan Idaho, who attended the Genus School, trained Paul Atreides in swordsmanship. The swordsmasters of the Genus School were considered the greatest warriors in the universe. The best of the Emperor Sardaukar soldiers could match up to a level 10 Genus swordsman. The craft of swordsmanship was respected in the Imperium, and many of the great houses of the Fa-Felucians employed a swordsmaster of the Genus School. On the planet Arrakis, however, especially in the desert, devices such as lasguns and Mauler pistols were more common since the use of shields was impossible in the deep desert due to the maddening effect that the Holtzman effect had on the great worms of Dune. The Fremen, who lived their lives roaming the deep desert, often made use of Mauler pistols which could fire darts a considerable distance. The Fremen also made use of blades called crysknives. A crysknife was a blade carved from the tooth of a dead sandworm. These weapons were sacred to the Fremen. Once the blade was drawn, blood must be shed. It was also forbidden for an outsider to lay eyes upon an unsheathed blade. The Fremen would also often poison the tips of the blades. Hunter-seekers were an extremely dangerous and very common assassination weapon used among the noble houses of the Imperium. The children of nobility learned about such devices at very young ages. The device would be operated from another location and depend upon motion detection to see its target. Once a target was detected, the device would burrow directly into the target's closest vital organ, killing them instantly. Immediately after the Butlerian Jihad, when all thinking machines had been destroyed, the rulers of the Imperium converged to form the Great Convention, a treaty which reserved the use of atomics for a non-human entity. The agreement said that due to the catastrophic history that nuclear weapons had among human society, humans would never use such weapons on each other, but instead on non-human threats should they ever appear. Only the great houses would be allowed to possess atomics henceforth. The Great Convention stated, "Use of atomics against humans shall be cause for planetary obliteration." In the book Dune, Paul Atreides finds somewhat of a loophole. He uses atomics not on humans, but to blast a hole in the shield wall of Arrakeen. After Paul became emperor, the Imperium's adherence to the Great Convention had lessened considerably. Atomics had not been the only weapons prohibited by the Great Convention, but all weapons of mass destruction, including stone burners. Stone burners were terrible weapons which not only caused great destruction, but released a type of ray that destroyed the eye tissue of anything within several miles. A stone burner detonated at the core of a planet would cause a reaction leading to the total destruction of the world. The weapon worked by harnessing atomic energy. It would create fusion, setting off an atomic source and absorbing the source's energy. It would create a disastrous result. The Assassin's Handbook, an in-universe work, supposedly contained a compilation of commonly used poisons permitted during the War of Assassins, and the weapons which were permitted as well. The War of Assassins referred to the form of warfare that was allowed under the Great Convention. The Spacing Guild also helped maintain peace. The Guild's monopoly on space travel meant that they could deny access to those that were disruptive. 5,000 years into the saga, by the time of the honored Matres, the Guild's monopoly on space travel had been broken, and the Great Convention was no longer honored. The Matres utilized a weapon possessing tremendous power. When activated, it created a blast of incredible heat, capable of scorching the surface of entire worlds. The honored Matres brought the weapon out of the scattering and intended to use it to subdue the Bene Gesserit Sisterhood. Many science fiction writers tend to agree that war is a part of human nature. Even thousands of years in the future, humankind still must contend with its self-destructive disposition. The timeline of the Dune saga indicates that humankind has some difficulty evolving past these patterns. And even though peace can be maintained for some time, society tends to trend towards violence. The honored Matres represent a version of the Bene Gesserit who had lost their way, surrendering to their most volatile instincts and undoubtedly setting themselves on a clear path for annihilation. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And if you want to support this channel, click the Patreon link in the description.